Okay, let's make this quick. Scott Pilgrim, he's 23, he's in a band, he's a piece of shit. This is Knives, she's 17, he's dating her. What the fuck? This is Ramona, yeah, rada, he's fucking her, they're fucking, this is a thing, they're fucking. Mind you, he's still dating Knives, the 17-year-old child, the 17-year-old child. He's cheating on a 17-year-old girl who is still in high school with this emo bitch. Like, again, he's in a band, they go to band shit, and she shows up, and then he also brings her, so then they meet, and it's awkward as fuck because he ain't tell either about the other, and bro, it's just I gotta go, I gotta zoom. This other band plays, they're alright. The band's done playing, the crowd is murdered, the crowd is like dead, actually. Wallace is getting some action. This is Scott's sister, by the way. And this little Indian kid comes out of nowhere and beats the shit out of Scott, but then Scott starts beating the shit out of him because bro got hands. I ain't gonna hold you. Oh, look at this, bro. Look at it. Sure you can. Yeah, so bro beats the shit out of him and then explains to Scott that was actually Ramona's ex and she fucked over him because she's a bad person and she got bored of his magic and shit, and bro got mad. He got hot demon chicks for some reason. I don't know why, but we don't question shit here. Yeah, they just like the power of friendship, this shit, and then they jump the fuck out of this man, and then Scott kills him. By the way, when people die here, they go back to where the fuck they came from, so it's like video game shit, and they respawn somewhere else, and then he steals his money. And then they go back in time, Scott's in high school, Scott meets Kim. Hey, this little blonde bitch right here, she gonna come in handy in a few chapters. Yeah, so he meets Kim, they start dating, he beats the fuck out of some random dude for some reason, because that's just what he does, he just beats the shit out of random people to get bitches. Yeah, so he beats the fuck out of this kid, him and Kim start dating, it's a nice little relationship, and then fucking Scott's a piece of shit, so he just leaves without saying shit, bro. Wallace, being the cool dude that he is like, hey, you should tell this 17-year-old child that you're fucking somebody else. And Scott's like, I don't gotta do that shit, fuck you. So this piece of shit tries to break up with her through the phone on some Soldier Boy shit. She finds him, they end up going on an impromptu date. And then bro breaks her heart in the middle of the fucking store after she confessed her love to him, bro. She confessed her love to him, bro. He said, ugh. And bro just completely dumps her to the sideline for the emo goth bitch. And then he's like, you know what? I feel bad. 3 minutes later, I don't feel shit. It's my old bitch. It's my new bitch. It's my old bitch. It's my new bitch. It's my old bitch. My business buddy. Oh yeah, so he's like, hey guys, I broke up with my 17-year-old girlfriend. Check out this song I wrote about this new bitch, Ramona. Like, the fuck? Shit happens. Time passes and the fucking... They want to see a band, Clash of the Demon Head. They're pretty popular and famous, and Scott's acting weird for some reason. Knives is fucking heartbroken over this weird-ass 23-year-old. Homegirl decides to change her whole look on some villain arc shit. Calls her a fat white bitch at some point. I don't know. She hating, bro. But then she dyes her hair, and she's like, I'm gonna murder this girl. The second ex is this cool-ass celebrity skater dude named Lucas Lee, played by Chris Evans in the movie. Pretty cool. Bro just does not give a fuck. He starts beating the shit out of Scott for like 3 whole pages and shit. Helps him up, bro, and decides, you know what, this shit ain't worth it. I'm gonna just tell you the story, bro. This bitch cheated on me. He cheated on me, bro. Like, by the way, Ramona fucking people over is gonna be a reoccurring thing in the story. Just keep that in mind. Yeah, so bro is just chill as fuck. He's like, hey, I'm gonna skate you for it, bro. And decides to try to beat him in a skate contest. Bro eats shit and dies. Bro eats shit and dies. So then Scott just steals his money, gets a cool skateboard. He can't even use it because he doesn't know how to skate, but I digress. Knives on some ninja shit, by the way. She's actually a ninja too. She tries to murder the fuck out of Ramona. Turns out Ramona got hands too. I ain't gonna hold you, bro. But then she finds out that, you know, Scott was cheating the whole time, has a mental breakdown, starts crying. Oh, she's so precious, bro. She didn't deserve that at all. Fuck Scott. Yeah, they start fighting through the mall. Eventually, she dips out because she's like, fuck this shit, and calls her, ugly. Scott gets a call from his ex, and some girl he dated in college. Turns out, this is his ex from college, and this dude was Ramona's ex at some point. I don't know. She's got a bunch of exes. This dude, high-key, is the coolest ex to me, because he's basically Scott, but better in every single way, but he also cheats too. That's a recurring thing. You'll see this a lot in the story. So Scott Pilgrim's ex is actually some chick he dated in college, and now she's rich and famous now, and she's in a band with fucking this robo bitch and Ramona's third ex. Also, by the way, every single ex has their number somewhere detailed in their shit. 123, 123, like, that's cool as fuck. Brian O'Malley's cool with the art. He's cold with the art, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. Yeah, so they go backstage with the band after the show, and, you know, Knives is still freaking the fuck over Scott, so she's like, you kissed his lips! You kissed it! You need to leave! Damn! I forgot they beat the fuck out of this 17-year-old girl. Never forget that. She's a 17-year-old child that does not deserve any of this. She punched this bitch so hard, she punched the highlights out of her fucking hair, bro. And she's sad, bro. She's just sad. She's a sad little puppy for real. I feel so bad for her, bro. Scott's such a piece of shit. Yeah, so they do is like a synopsis of all the people that, you know, you got Scott, you got Ramona, you got fucking Julie, you got fucking Todd, Goat, you got motherfucking Envy, you got motherfucking Kim, the Goat, you got motherfucking Robo Bitch, you got motherfucking normal dude, you got motherfucking even more normal dude, you got a cute little puppy who doesn't deserve anything, you got the most wholesome character in the fucking book, novel, movie, all of it, bro. Like, she don't deserve any of this, bro. Basically, she's like, yeah, it's my ex, and fucking Scott's like, you piece of shit, and tries to beat him, but bro has psychic fucking powers. Scott kind of gets cucked, I ain't gonna hold you. Bro goes Super Saiyan on him. He's like, on some anime shit, he's like, no. Also, he's vegan. That's how he gets his powers. That's gonna come in handy later. So they talking shit. Scott's getting his ass absolutely kicked, bro. Cause you really can't compete with that. Bro literally has psychic powers. He launched him up in the air long enough for them to do a flashback and him fall back down. Like, that's crazy. Oh yeah, they're fucking. So Scott and them used to date, didn't work out. Scott's a piece of shit. They decided to reschedule the fight cause Scott's like not really about that action. So they decided to go through a mall where you kind of just get lost. Low key, this is just IKEA for me. I always get lost in IKEA. Like, I don't know why. I don't think I've ever went to IKEA and made it out successfully, but this is basically what this is. This place is actually like some type of weird haunted shit because they're losing their fucking minds in here, bro. And this man starts seeing flashbacks. I'm guessing this is his dad telling him he can't be vegan. This is the girl, the robo bitch he's cheating on Envy with. Because, by the way, Envy and him are dating, and he's cheating on her. He's like, we'll know. He won't know. She'll never know. He's gonna be important later. Bro's like, get out of me head, and fucking destroys the fucking thing. Time goes on. Todd's still cheating with the robo bitch. Not really important. I mean, actually, it will be important later, but not yet. Yeah, so they go back to different concerts and stuff. They're doing some techno shit, and Envy starts talking shit to Ramona, and they start fighting, and blah, 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 blah. Ramona also has, like, a weird portal thing where she can kind of find anything in her backpack on some cartoon shit. She can literally reach into this portal shit and grab anything she wants. She can go into it, too. Yo, I ain't gonna lie, she kicking ass right now, bro. And then Scott's like, yo, I dated you at one point. I know your weakness, and fucking taps the back of her knee. She fucking... Yo, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Yeah, so she's like, yo, Todd, kill these motherfuckers. And they're like, we haven't seen Todd in a minute, and that's gonna be important later, but I digress. And Ramona's like, yo, Todd's a piece of shit. She's like, you don't know him like I know him. I've known him since we were 11, and he punched the moon for me. And then she sees it, and bro just got finished with a session with the robo bitch. Yo, that's tough, bro. She mad as fuck. She ends up kneeing him in his nuts, and then he retaliates and shoots that bitch out. Scott gotta come in and beat the fuck out of him. I ain't gonna lie, that bass guitar is cold, bro. That's such a cold... Oh my god. They start having a bass battle, and then Scott gets his ass kicked because, you know, Scott's kind of mid. Some of the techno boys jump in, and they start trying to beat Todd too. They just kind of keep jumping people at this point. Like, I'm cool with that, but still. At some point, the vegan police show up, and they're like, hey, yo, Todd, you ain't no real vegan for real. You were eating gelato, bitch? And they zap his powers. Bro loses his shit. This man headbutts the absolute ever-loving shit out of this man to the point where he just dies. He just takes his money. And he also gets a free light. This is gonna be important later. Yeah, so Envy's kind of fucked up, but she, you know, gets over it at some point. They go back to playing shit. And then he meets this dude at the venue, and he's like, who is he? He's gonna be important later in the story.
So Scott kills the third boyfriend, and Envy's going back home to wherever the fuck she came from. Time passes, and I'm not gonna, like, focus on this shit just because, realistically, it's just, like, character building. Basically, everyone's having a good old time. Scott and Ramona are, like, building a relationship or whatever. Scott finds Kim and Nas making out. Wait a minute! Scott's at the mall, and then he realizes he's broke as fuck. And here, this little bitch right here. This little bitch right here go fuck the whole game up. And so this girl is from his high school, and bro, she's a goddamn menace. I ain't gonna hold you. But the next few like chapters of the book, she's kinda on the sidelines, kinda trying to tempt this man to do something crazy. You know what I'm talking about? Naja's still freaking out. She's doing her thing. She realizes though that somebody crossed out a picture on her shrine, and this is gonna be important later. Scott's living his life, Knives is fucking stalking him, and then he's gonna be important later. Scott gets a job working with homeboy, and then bro shows up out of nowhere after his shift and tries to murder the. First off, he cut a bus in half. He cut a whole fucking bus in half. That's insane. So bro's trying to murder Scott. By the way, he's with Kim too, so low-key bad situation. He escapes using one of Ramona's portals. Yeah, Ramona can like go through portals and shit, and she's been, using people's brains as like, portals. It's hard to explain. Her bag's magical too. It's a lot of magic shit. Scott takes a piss. So Scott gets out of work again, and then bro gets attacked by some random shadow thing. And turns out it's this random blonde bitch. Ain't nobody know who the fuck she is yet. Well, we do, but for the sake of the argument, we don't. She's gonna be important later. Time passes. Him and Lisa go out for a walk. And Shotty's like, hey, you trying to puff? And he's like, I don't smoke. And she's like, oh, trying to smoke? And he's like, bro, I already said I don't want to fucking smoke. And she's like, hey, remember when we like could have fucked? Scott's like, yo, I think you're fucking drunk. She's like, I ain't fucking drunk, nigga. She's like, I ain't drunk. I know what I'm saying. I mean, Scott's kind of dumb, but he ain't too dumb though. He knows what's happening. More time passes and bro is stalking the shit out of Scott. He trying to kill this man. While Scott's at work, he sees Ramona and this random blonde woman eating food at the restaurant that he works at, and he's like, what's going on here? So at some point he figures out what's going on, and he realizes that Ramona had a quote-unquote lesbian. They call it a sexy phase here, but whatever, I digress. This bitch is actually the fourth evil ex-boyfriend. So Ramona puts Scott in her magical bag and they try to dip out. Ramona puts the fucking bat on this bitch, bro. Beats the shit out of her, dog. Beats her ass so bad, this bitch got a retreat type shit. More time passes, Knives and fucking young Neil already, broke up. Neil's pissed as shit, bro. Ramona hates this bitch. Ramona hates this little bitch Lisa right here, bro, to the point where she's giving her death stares and shit. So Ramona confronts Scott and is basically like, yo, were y'all fucking for real? And he was like, nah, we ain't never do nothing. We never even dated. But she don't really believe him, and she storms off. She mad as fuck. And he's like, Ramona, come back. Scott then comes home and finds fucking Wallace clapping cheeks or getting his cheeks clapped. I don't know what was doing what, but they were fucking. Two dudes fucking. Scott's traumatized. Scott walks out. Bro's having the worst night of his fucking life. Bro has nowhere to go at this point because homeboy kicked him out. Because Wallace does own the place. Scott's kind of a freeloader. Bro pulls out a shit from his pocket and finds out that he has the phone number from Lisa. That's like the only place he can go because Ramona don't fuck with him. And Wallace is fucking, so he can't fuck with him. So it's like he has to go with Lisa. So he's at Lisa's place. Well, Lisa's sister's place, but Lisa's place nonetheless. Shawty in her little dress thing, she kind of acting fishy. She acting a little fishy, right? They're talking about Ramona and shit, and she's like, yo, you should forget about Ramona. You should fuck me. Why ain't we fucking? We should be fucking. And Scott's just kind of like, nah. Bro blacks the fuck out. And then wakes up. It turns out the whole night he was just talking about how much he loved Ramona, and fucking dips out, and, well, he didn't know the direction, so he went the wrong way. Goes back, gets his old job back, because by the way, he got fired. So I guess he goes to go talk to his sister at the Second Cup, because that's where she works. Knives also works at the Second Cup, but turns out he went to the wrong one. He went to the wrong location, because he thought all of them were the exact same. So then Knives sees her dad outside, and Scott's like, that's your fucking dad? She brought Scott up during dinner, and he kind of put the pieces together that, this 22-year-old grown-ass man is dating this fucking 17-year-old child. You know what? Y'all don't like when I talk about it, so I won't talk about it. He sees Scott and tries to murder the shit out of this man. He has to escape through the door holes again. But then Scott sees some crazy ass shit. Remember that one guy said it was going to be important in the story later? He's still going to be important in the story later, but he's in... You'll see it. So Shawty getting dogged out right now. I don't know what's going on here, but she in her lingerie. She on her knees type shit, bro. She recognizes Scott, and she's like, yo, fuck you doing in here, bro? She realizes that Scott's not really in the wrong. He was just kind of escaping from this weird ninja man. Then Scott's about to tell her that, he's in love with her, but then he sees Roxie again, And he's like, oh, are y'all fucking? He gets jealous. You know, he's running around. You don't know where to go. He kind of just, you know, in the streets. And then he sees himself, like a dark version of himself. He sees Nega Scott. Nigga who? So he runs back, and bro was about to murder everybody in that fucking house. Scott's kind of a pussy. I'm gonna let you know this right now. When it comes to like dealing with things he doesn't want to deal with, he'll run. So he's just running through the house right now. And Roxie's like, you know what? I'll fight your fucking battles for you since you're a pussy ass bitch. So then Scott's like, yo, am I actually a pussy for real? And Ramona's like, well, kinda. And Scott's like, you know what? Fuck it. He tells Ramona that he loves her, pulls out a fucking sword from his body, and then decides to beat the shit out of everybody there. He only ends up killing Roxie for real. He just murders this bitch. He just cuts this bitch in half. Now his dad respects him so fucking much for murdering this little blonde bitch. He's like, you know what? I'll fuck with you, bro. Dips out. And then him and Ramona are just in love now. That's where they're at. I really appreciate the fact that Scott becomes a better person throughout the story, and people kind of call him out for his bullshit. I really like that. More time passes. Ramona and him are just fucking around. You know, they're having a good old time. They're in the city. She got her hair dyed again. That's a thing that happens often. And then that's the end of the book. Yeah, that's the end of book 2. Oh, you evil little bitch. This last section right here, this volume 3 shits, major fucking spoilers. Okay, so you see this large section of the book right here? This entire section is basically an allegory for Scott ignoring his problems, right? And that comes in the form of fighting robots. The twins, right? The 5th and 6th evil ex-boyfriend, they're rich, right? And they have mechanical robots that, you know, beat the shit out of Scott. He keeps going to parties and he keeps getting into fights with robots. He's supposed to be dealing with his problems, right? But instead of doing that, he just keeps fighting robots. At this point, he's still living with Ramona. Things are going pretty well. The twins just kind of just want to see him die. They're actually kind of evil. Like, towards the end, they start doing some crazy shit. You'll see that later on. So in one of the outings, Ramona goes to the bathroom and meets up with Knives, who's still 17 at this point. Keep that in mind, right? She tries to talk to Ramona, but at this point, you know, Ramona's being kind of bitchy about it. You know, she's kind of sarcastic. It's her thing. And Knives fucking loses her fucking mind, dude. She starts fighting Ramona. Things don't go well for her because, you know, she's basically a child. And then she drops the bomb. She's like, yo, he cheated on us, dog. And Ramona's just fucked up, right? So for the next like 30, 40 pages, she's kind of just on the fence about what's going on. She doesn't really like to see Scott anymore. And at some point, she kicks him out of the apartment. At this point, Scott has no idea what the fuck's going on, right? But Ramona's just not fucking with Scott, like, at all. Which is justifiable, honestly. Like, if you find out that your 23-year-old boyfriend, you know, apparently cheated on you with a 17-year-old teenager who's still in high school, I wouldn't be, you know, I'd be fucked up too. Yeah, so she's just completely zoned the fuck out. Like, he has no idea what's going on, but she's dazed. They keep going to parties, they keep going to outings, he keeps meeting up with fucking robots. Like, he's fighting robots instead of dealing with his problems. They dive into some deep psychological traumas for most of the characters. Scott keeps getting his ass kicked by the robots. Meanwhile, the people around him are actually suffering because of it. Or not because of the robots, but because of Scott himself. So remember this whole glow thing? This is going to be incredibly important later. Kim sees Ramona flipping her shit, takes a picture of the glow, and they're just confused. Like, what's going on? What does this mean? Scott's still getting his ass kicked. Kim and Ramona are just drinking about it. She's like, I can't tell you shit. I don't feel comfortable talking about it. Eventually, Scott meets them up there. They start drinking together. You know, Kim's like, I love you, Ramona. Eventually, they leave, and on her way home, Kim gets kidnapped by the twins, unfortunately. These motherfuckers just evil as shit. Scott and Ramona go home drunk as fuck. They smash. They do some crazy shit. You know, they and then Ramona's like still fucked up about what happened, obviously. He's like, yo, did you cheat on me? Scott's like, yeah. Nah. Scott's reasoning is like, yo, look, technically I cheated on the 17-year-old high schooler with you. So technically you didn't get cheated on. So what I did was justify. I think it's okay. Yeah, so Ramona's pissed as fuck. She's just like, you know what? You're just as bad as the other 7 evil boyfriends at this point. And Scott's like, yo, please don't break up with me. I love you. And then he wakes up, she's gone. Turns out she's actually taking a shower. Kim texts him and she's like, yo, I got kidnapped by the twins. Come save me. Scott dips out. And Ramona's like, what the fuck you yelling about? So then Scott meets up with the twins, and yeah, they literally just put this bitch in a birdcage. Like, that's crazy. I'm pretty sure are references to Street Fighter. It's like Ryu and Ken, but his name is actually Ken, and his name is like Carlson or some shit, like Kennison. Oh, it's Kyle, my fault. Ramona basically dated these two at the exact same time and, you know, cheated on each other with the other brother. Damn, that's a bar. That was a bar. Hold up. Yeah, so Scott's kind of getting his ass kicked because, you know, it's like 2-on-1. So at some point, they're like, yo, we're going to murder this kid. And Kim's like, hey, I got a text from Ramona. Ramona said she's happy to see you type shit. Turns out the battery's dead. She's making this shit up as she goes, but Scott needs motivation, so she's just blatantly lying. Scott sees that as motivation and beats the fuck out of these twins, bro. Straight up murders these dudes. Kim's happy to see Scott and everything. She's like, yo, thank you for saving me. Kind of feels bad for what she did, but at the same time, she had to do what she had to do. So Scott runs home thinking that Ramona is fucking with him. Turns out she's actually about to dip out. Ramona's like, I can't do this anymore. I really fuck with you, but like, she's kind of self-loathing too. She's like, I'm a bad person. Scott's like, yeah, people could change though. She's like, I don't really believe that. I'ma dip out. Peace out. Scott's like, damn, really, bitch? You leaving me like this, bitch? Yeah. She dips out. She's gone. She leaves her cat too. By the way, her cat name is Gideon, which kind of crazy, but I digress. She left a letter on the bed, actually written to Gideon, and Scott keeps it, and Gideon, the cat, not the person, runs away, and he actually locks himself out of Ramona's apartment, so bro's homeless, unfortunately. So bro's just kind of going through it, and if you've ever worked fast food while heartbroken, this shit right here is so relatable. Scott sees Kim and is like, hey, can I kick it with you for a bit? Starts talking to other people about the whole Ramona situation because she just dipped out. Her sister ain't fucking with Ramona. Kim's like, yo, what's going on? You know, everyone's kind of confused on what's happening. Wallace, being the best character in the goddamn book, is like, you know, maybe she fucking with somebody else because he better. You know, maybe his shoes better. Maybe his clothes fit better. Maybe his money better. This is like prime friend energy. This is best friend energy type shit. Also, Kim's moving away. She's going to live with her parents or whatever. And, you know, Scott's kind of fucked up. He's just like, you're coming back, right? She's like, yeah, sure. Scott's like, hey, I'm sorry that I'm a dickhead. She's like, yeah, I forgive you. And then she dips out. So Scott's like super fucking alone at this point, and like the cat's just not showing up. So some time passed, and I want to say this is over the span of like a year, so he should be 24 at this point. Scott's parents get him a new apartment, I'm pretty sure, and they help him move in. Scott's parents are actually rich as fuck, and he's like, hey, you want me to buy you a car, like a pony? And she's like, hey, you fucking spoiled our son. It's your fault he's a piece of shit. There's a dude in the bottom of the stairs who's like, yo, are you guys done up there? And it kind of looks like Gideon. So Scott loses his shit, goes down and beats the fuck out of him. And he's like, yo, what the fuck? I'm your brother. And so his family ends up leaving. And turns out the bass that he was playing the whole time wasn't even his bass. It was his brother's bass. He decides to read the note that Ramona wrote to Gideon. And basically it's like a breakup letter. She's like, hey, don't wait up for me because I'm not coming back. It's over. You know, I reread the book, and looking back on it now, it being unopened is so fucking crazy, but I'll explain that later. So he gets a call from somebody, and bro is just being a dickhead. He's like, hey, you know, I got friends and friends. You know what? Fuck it. It's Gideon. He's having like a lot of dreams during this moment of depression because he's just kind of by himself. And the dreams are super cryptic and really dark. You know, he's just kind of in a dark spot right now. To cope with his depression, he just keeps playing video games, and everyone's like, yo, maybe you should do something about it. And Scott's like, nah. He has another dream. This one is foreshadowing right here. See this shit right here? Bro gets stabbed, gets eaten by some beasts, but turns out them beasts aren't really beasts, they people that he knows. So you see this section of the book right here? This is what I like to call Scott's fumble phase, right? Like I said, Scott's in a very dark point in his life, and because of that, he starts making really shitty fumble moves, and he makes the biggest mistake a man could possibly make. He listens to other men. It's a horrible thing because they give him horrible fucking advice. Wallace is just like, yo, you should fuck something, right? Just get over Ramona. It's been like a year, right? And here comes Knives, 18 years old. She's finally of age. And Scott loses his fucking shit. Bro's like, so how does it feel, you know, no longer being a child in the eyes of the law? Sketchy. You see, the book calls it out. But it's still crazy nonetheless, right? And she's talking about how she's moving away to college in 3 months and stuff, and he's just not fucking listening because, you know, she's of age. And bro is just like, wait, so you're not a child anymore? And she's like, yeah, I'm making like big changes and, you know, my life's changing and friends and stuff. He's like, you're legal? You're like a legal 18-year-old? She's like, yeah, you know, just big life change, life's scary. And this motherfucker says, do you want to have sex? Like, I think we should have sex, like casual sex. She's freaked out, kind of flattered, but still kind of freaked out. We're all kind of just like, he's fucked up. They go outside. She's like, thank you, I appreciate that, but unfortunately, I've moved on. Like, you know, I'm learning how to be alone, that type of shit, you know. Which I love that progression for Knives because, like she said, for the past year of her life, she's been fixated on Scott, and now she finally moved on. And this was by far one of the most cathartic moments in the book for me because I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, Knives deserves so much better, and I'm glad she did get better. So, you know, she's like, yo, it's been a year, whatever, and I'm not having sex with you, but maybe we can, like, make out for a little bit, right? And Scott's in a very dark place right now. So he kind of just taking what he can get, and bro just goes for it. However, it's like the most awkward possible thing for both of them, and everyone hated it, including you. You definitely hated it too. This is fumble number 1, right? Out of 3. Okay, so after fumble number 1, he goes to a house party, right? Young Neil told this man, if a hot chick's ever in town, bro, like, you know, a hot famous chick known by the name of Envy or whatever, and she's out of your league, knock her down a peg by making fun of her. Which is a real thing that a lot of guys do. It's called negging. Envy Adams comes back. And so he starts talking shit. He's like, oh my god, Envy Adams is here around normal people? You know, maybe why don't you go back to where you came from, fucking famous bitch? And she's just not feeling it. And no one's feeling it. No one in the party's fucking with Scott. All the homies hate Scott. He's like, let me buy you a drink. It doesn't really work. She forgives him. She's like, hey, you can buy me a coffee. And they talk about it. So Envy and Scott go out to get coffee, and she's like, yo, I'm not actually a bad person for real. And Scott's like, starts venting to fucking Wallace about it. Wallace ain't even really listening for real. He's just saying whatever Scott wants to hear. Eventually Scott goes home and the cat comes back. Scott's happy about that. He's like, oh shit, Gideon's back. The one thing I have from fucking Ramona is... So him and Envy go out again because, you know, Envy's kind of fucking with him at this point. And he's like, hey, are we ever gonna get back together again? And she's like, what? And he's like, can we have casual sex? Again, Scott's in a very dark point in his life. It's gonna be a reoccurring thing, okay? Just keep that in mind. Envy's like, look, I'm dealing with somebody else right now. It ain't gonna work. And she's like, do you even remember what happened? Scott does not remember what happened. In fact, Scott actually has a shitty ass memory and he's horribly delusional, right? So half the things in the... that's a spoiler. She's like, look, people can change. And maybe Gideon's not as bad of a person as you think he is, right? And that's when he sees this motherfucker. And bro loses his shit, has a breakdown, and runs off crying. I feel bad for Scott at this point, because this is the second time he's fumbled. And here comes the third time. So he's going to go meet Kim, shows up to her parents' place. They go out, they go to the forest to go talk and stuff about life, and, you know, everything's going well, right? They're just hanging out, doing what best buds do type shit. And then he fucking kisses her out of nowhere. No warning, nothing's been warranted. And she's shocked as fuck, right? But then she kind of fucks with it. She's like, mind you, these two used to date. It happens, right? But then she's like, nah, like, we can't do that, bro. That's not cool. And he's like, isn't that the point of you being here? Like, you're here for me, right? That's your purpose in this world. To be here for me? She's like, yo, look. Do you even remember what happened? So in the story, in like the first book, it was shown to us like this. This was the memory, right? Scott was telling Kim like, hey, look, I'm leaving, right? Turns out he didn't even tell her in person. He told Lisa, and Lisa told Kim. But he remembers it differently in his head. This little section right here where he beats up some dude for Kim, turns out it was some little Chinese dude she was dating named Simon Lee. And like, he was dating Kim, and, you know, Scott beat the fuck out of him, and then Kim dumped him for him. So even Kim has her demons, bro. Everyone's kind of fucked up. Scott starts getting in his head. Scott's like, yo, he starts feeling something called shame. And then he sees something in the forest. And the nigga. So him and Nega Scott start fighting. I can't wait till the show comes out because I want to see how well they animate this shit. Yeah, so Kim's basically telling him like, look, you need to stop running from yourself because realistically, all the shitty things you've done in the past, this is you. This is who you are. You're running from the shit that you've done in hopes that you kind of forget about it and forgive yourself, but nothing changes. And that's why you're still a shitty person. And Scott kind of stops fighting it and then absorbs himself, like his evil self, basically realizing that everything that he's ever done was 100% him. And there's no one he can really blame except for himself. After that, all his memories are unclouded. Like everything he's ever done, all the horrible things he's done to people, he remembers all of it now. Basically, he goes back to Canada, whatever, and, you know, Kim sends him off with a kiss. She's like, you need to go fight for Ramona because, you know, that's what you do. And, you know, she's like, the kiss is for luck and don't expect it to happen again. So basically, everyone's moved on from Scott. Scott's kind of forgiven himself too for what he's done, but he hasn't forgotten what he's done. So he's basically gonna make everything right at this point. So Scott goes back to Toronto type shit, sees Gideon's venue. By the way, it's like opening night. So everybody that could be there is there. Wallace is there, bro, and also his friend Scott, who's gay. This is straight Scott. This is gay Scott. Throughout the entirety of the book, Scott always said, I don't drink, right? I don't drink alcohol. Turns out he always did, right? He just forgot when he would do it. You know that dark version of him, Nega Scott or whatever? Any type of negative trait that he had would get pushed off to him. And he finally gets a drink. Julie's like, yo, what the fuck? I thought Scott Pilgrim didn't drink. And he's like, well, I do sometimes. Which isn't a big deal. But in this, you know, for the book, that's such a groundbreaking panel because bro finally accepts who he is type shit. But then he ends up fucking up his shirt. He's like, Aah! So he gets a new shirt from Gideon's place and, you know, his sister's there. She's like, yo, cool shirt. He's like, shut the fuck up. And he's trying to find out where Ramona and them are. Knives is there. Her friend's there. No one knows what the fuck they are. And that's when Envy comes out of the fucking sky with a goddamn butterfly dress on. And she starts singing a song, right? And it's a very weird song because, you know, it's like, look behind you type shit. Motherfucker been standing there the whole goddamn time. So him and Gideon start fighting. Everyone's like, hey, Scott. I love Wallace so much, bro. Scott, Wallace is like, hey, I think there's a guy behind you, bro. Like, no shit. Him and Gideon start fighting and plot twist of the fucking century. Gideon never had Ramona to begin with. Everyone thought that, you know, she moved back with Gideon and she was living with him or whatever, but she wasn't there. Like, Gideon thought she was with Scott. Scott thought she was with Gideon. So they're both like, yo, she wasn't with you? He's like, she wasn't with you? And Gideon starts getting the glow. Gideon's pissed the fuck off. He's like, you dumbass bitch. That was like your one job. You're supposed to keep her there, dumbass. I was supposed to impress her. And then reaches into fucking Scott's shit, grabs his own sword, fucking stabs this man. He stabs this man. And keep in mind, up to this point, this is the first time we've actually seen someone fucking die in this comic. Like, bro is actually dead type shit. So, unfortunate. At some point, he wakes up in that dreamscape again and sees Ramona. Ramona's like, hey, look, I've been gone. Sorry, you're dead. I'm sorry for being a bad person. Scott's excited. Scott starts kissing her and she's like, hey, let me apologize, dumbass. And he starts kissing her again. He's like, down, boy. Yeah, so her and Scott talk while they're in this weird dreamscape afterlife thing and realizes that he still has his second life from his earlier encounter. Scott comes back to fucking life. This is crazy because he still has the wound in his chest type shit, but I guess it don't matter because he extra life, yeah, video game shit. Mind you, everyone in the party just watched the guy die. And that's when Ramona comes out of Scott and is like, yo, let's finish this shit. So Gideon finally seeing Ramona at the event finally allows him to go back to his original plan. This dude is fucking crazy. He has 6 of his ex-girlfriends cryogenically frozen in these tubes, and he has the last one saved for Ramona. And he was gonna freeze them until, like, you know, they're ready to date him type shit, so he can date all of them at the same time. Mind you, some of these girls have been in there for decades, like literal decades, bro. And then he hits everyone in the party with that jealousy beam shit. So everyone's just in their fucking head at this point. Everyone's just fucked up. And Scott starts like getting pissed off. He's like, why the fuck am I fighting this dude? Like, you left, bitch. This is your fault. You started this shit. Gideon keeps trying to get Scott to join him because he's like, yo, you're kind of an evil ex-boyfriend, bro. Like, just let's beat Ramona up together, bro. Fuck that shit. Fuck that bitch. No one's fucking with it. Scott's like, dude, fuck you. And at some point, Ramona's like, look, I can't do this anymore. Like, I probably can't change. And Scott's like, please don't go. And then she can't go because Gideon fucking stabs her in the back. What a dick. Everyone's just watching Ramona die, right? And he starts explaining how he was the one who came up with the evil mind shit that gives everyone that glow. And that's how he actually became famous. Emotional warfare is what he makes money in. So he makes people doubt themselves. He met Ramona, implanted that shit in her head, and that's why she is the way she is. Until one day, she woke up and actually used it to her advantage, and that's the reason why she could travel between subspaces. Does it make sense? I don't know. A lot of science shit. Probably mythical science, magic bullshit. I don't really care. All these portals and shit. Gideon technology. He realizes that, like, yo, this dude is in her head type shit. Not like figuratively, he's literally in her head. So he goes into the bag, right? Goes into Ramona's mind space, and that's where he sees this shit. So the reason why this man has such a strong hold on Ramona is because in her head, this is what it is. It was all powerful, Super Saiyan with a sword type shit, and she's just like she's a sub. Scott's basically like, yo, are you like seeing yourself right now? Like, you're a dickhead. Headbust the shit out of them. They all go back to the real world, and you know, Scott should definitely be fucking dead at this point. Ramona finally takes power back for herself. She's like, look, I understand that a part of me still belongs to you, but the other parts of me don't. He's like, look, I might have lost, but I'm taking this fucker with me. And that's when she uses her little purse satchel thing to block the sword, which ends up tearing it, and it breaks everybody out. It breaks her bag completely, so all her shit's just flying out. Gideon is pissed as fuck. Envy tries to help him. She's like, yo, are you good? And he's like, bitch, what the fuck you think I need your help for? And she's shocked. Everyone's like, yo, this dude's a dickhead. Because up to this point, no one has known Gideon to be this, right? But now he's revealed himself at the party. The whole function going crazy, like, yo, this motherfucker's a psychopath. So Scott starts going back and thinking about all the shitty things he's done to women, and he realizes that him and Gideon are kind of the same person. He looks at everybody at the party, they're all fucking with him. They're all like, yo, this guy's a dickhead. And he realizes, like, yo, I understand who you are now, and I gotta kill you for it. Bro pulls out a sword from her dress that he implanted to begin with, and is like, yo, I'm gonna fucking murder you two. This dude is a dickhead. So him and Ramona are fighting Gideon for the last time, and you know, shit's going about as well as it possibly could. Ramona knocks the sword out of his hand. He's like, even if you kill me, you guys are still your worst enemies to yourselves. And they're like, nah, motherfucker, it's definitely you. Finish this motherfucker off with like a anime ninja strike thing, and they get bro, that's $8 million basically, dog, just of coins, and it hits everybody in the function. Everyone's fucked up, brain damage. Envy sees the whole thing, and she's grateful to Scott because dude was a dickhead. Yeah, so it turns out Envy and Gideon weren't really dating. It was just a one-sided weird sex thing for him. So she performs, she frees the girlfriends or whatever. All the girls are like, yo, what's happening? One of them says, like, I've been trapped in here since 2003. So everyone's chilling. Ramona and Scott are basically back together now. Everyone's curious on where Ramona was for the past year while Scott was going through his little video game depression phase. And turns out, she goes to live with her dad, right? And everyone's like, oh, see, mysterious wilderness shit. Turns out she was just bumming like Scott was. They were both doing the exact same thing. So they leave Gideon's place, and basically Ramona starts talking about her self-doubts, and Scott basically reminds her that everything is going to be okay, and that as long as they just keep trying to make things work, you know, the relationship will be fine. And she's cool with it, so, you know, that's basically that. Everyone kind of just goes back to their lives. Kim and Scott make a new band, and it's pretty shitty. Knives and Neil originally would have been dick riders. Now they're like, yeah, this is pretty ass. Kim and Scott are okay with it because they just like making music. Knives goes off to college. Little Angel goes off to college. My little girl goes off to college. Ona and Scott end up together, jump into the abyss, and, you know, relationship metaphor and whatever, and that's the end of the book. Scott Pilgrim is one of the best comic series I've ever read in my entire fucking lifetime. The whole series in itself
is dope as fuck. I don't care what you need to do, bro. Watch the movie, watch the show that's coming out in November, read the comic, bro. I got a 3-piece box set, all 3 volumes, the whole story in color. Barnes & Nobles. I got it for like, I think either $40 or 20 something bucks. It was one of the two. I bought this in 2019, so I don't remember. Thank you guys for watching the fucking, recap of the story. I'm surprised y'all made it this far, but fuck it. Pick this shit up, bro, and read it.